welcome to the channel. In this video we're going to talk about Tesla. We're going to look at the daily chart, the weekly chart. Basically we look at the charts to give us a little bit of an edge. It helps us identify where price is going to go in the short term, long term. It helps us remain calm when markets are choppy. It helps us know when we've got a good price, when we can get good risk reward entries and then de-risk as things get a little bit spicy. Other than that, we're going to take a look at the short and long dated open options interest. That gives us a little bit of an insight in what the big boys in the market are doing. We're going to look at the Tesla news, see what's coming on the horizon. Is it exciting? Is there some bad news coming? All that good stuff. Other than that, though, if you can't be bothered to stick around for the main content of this video, I'm still super bullish on Tesla, and that's pretty much the key takeaway. Other than that, my live portfolio there is linked in the description below, and I've chucked it up on the screen there for you. Doing pretty good for the last 2 years there. All right, let's talk about the company that everyone else hates talking about, and everyone's probably going to crap on when I post this on eToro and on my other socials and stuff. But Tesla, good stuff. I really actually like the way the chart's looking. We've had two very quick rejections from that big thick red line. That's the current pattern that I'm working with. Super excited about it. I do think we're going to tap the bottom on it at some point. I think earnings could push this one down. I'm not expecting them to be good. However, there could be some bump from the credits going away with the auto sector, but you never know with Tesla. We could not get there. But I would love to buy more there, especially if we tootle along through to September into the apex of this pattern. I would be thrilled to be able to rotate some money from crypto trades into this one. Super excited about that. Measured move for that is about 500 something dollars, I think 580. But again, that fib level there at 520 is going to be super strong resistance. I think a lot of people are looking at the $500 mark there, so it might be that we get some chop there. 500 is going to be a big psychological level as well. So support below kind of where we are. We've got a small volume shelf here at the 270 range. That could hit, depends on if Elon opens his chops again or Trump opens his chops again or whatever. But underneath that, kind of where we're aligning with this red line, the prior resistance point, we've got a lot of taps there, about 4. And this has been a very strong area of interest for people to buy the stock previously. This volume shelf is huge. It's the biggest one in the year-to-date time frame. So what that means is when price hits those levels, that's when a lot of people are interested in buying it, and they've put their money where their mouth is and they've entered the stock. So typically that holds and people buy again at those levels. Volume is always really high on Tesla. Indicators kind of neutral really all around, so nothing too exciting. So it can go either way really. It's not looking kind of bullish or bearish. We did break this short-term trend, the red dotted line. It's been really gappy and choppy and very small candles, so that I don't think people are very sure on what's doing there. It is holding on the yellow resistance line and the bottom of the bull market band there, so we do have some kind of intermediate resistance if we can launch higher. I don't know if that's going to happen. There's a lot of bad narratives out there with Elon at the minute. We'll talk about that in the news section. But other than that, really, I'm not going to be trading in and out of this one too much. I'm very low on cash right now, and I think this kind of 290 to 250 area is going to be where we're going to chop. So that amount of movement isn't really exciting for me to want to trade, not on Tesla. So weekly, my position in this as well, I just want to point out, is not quite one of my core positions at the minute. It's a little bit smaller because I've been adding to other stuff that's been growing. Why's this chart gone funny? It really annoys me when it doesn't remember what I was doing. So it's just a bit clearer to see that bigger pattern that we're working with and the measured moves on that. We do have I think I need to remove that. That line's too low. Change the colour. So we do have quite a lot of confluence saying that Tesla does want to go higher if it can break out. I want to see kind of a breakout in this area, pushing up to this black line. That's an even longer term trend. So we'll have to wait and see if we can get over that. Really, this area, I'm expecting lots of chop. Unless he announces some, boom in production for Cybercab, which seems to get people really excited. Who knows? But again, the weekly chart here, we had lots of oversold, Death Cross, Golden Cross, and a bottom catch. That was just an absolute killer time to buy into the stock. Wish I had bought more down that area. I did buy quite a bit, but not as much as I wanted to. It didn't stay down there really for too long. Again, indicators on the weekly kind of neutral looking, not really doing much interesting. So Tesla's just kind of in a consolidation chop range from a technical perspective. Fundamentally, though, quite a different story. Let's look at options though first. Probably should apologise. I've got a little bit of sniffles today. I think I've got some hay fever. Again, joys of summer. Love the outdoors. Hate the pollen. So yeah, options market for Tesla this week. It's looking pretty choppy. A lot of kind of upside volume in the short term. These guys are crazy. Nothing wild. Obviously, we're not expecting to go to $600. They're probably legacies. They're probably going to be dust. Whoever opened them probably had them a while ago. So what do we say? Kind of let's go straight to end of year because I imagine chop's going to be happening over here. A lot of indecision. Let's go January 2026. Again, kind of what we expected to see. A lot of bullish bets here with volume. These are quite high. Probably, I think maybe these ones might get it. Depends on if FOMO kicks in, but for sure, I think these guys will get in the money. Market makers want to keep this under 400, which makes sense looking at where the chart is. Great psychological level, and we've only really kissed past that lately. Support from the market makers, interestingly, is kind of but where the yellow resistance line is on my other chart. So that's good. Market makers are going to want to keep the price above that. So they will buy the stock to encourage it higher. So they have to pay out less in premium, which is good for us. That doesn't have to hold, but typically it does. If I can show you support here, you can put it on historical mode so you can see where this range moves and price tends to stay within those lines for Tesla. We don't typically tend to come outside of it much, so it helps to know the trends of your particular stock. Like I said, I think it was a video yesterday, I said each stock's got a personality. Some stocks will have no problem blasting through these, but they tend to be ones that move on less volume. Just out of curiosity, let's go further out for January 2027. The market is generally sitting very bullish for Tesla in 2027 with leverage plays. So that is something to bear in mind. Short term's looking a bit choppy. Long term, big boys love it. I also have a chart on the next slide for you. So obviously in the news there's tons and tons of Tesla fear and FUD, but institutions are still really confident in Tesla. Looking at this chart, they've not sold chunks, at least noticeably. So, take that as you will. The big boys have still got absolute faith in this company playing out in the long term. Other than that, Tesla earnings 23rd of July, which is later this month. Yes, it's July now. I lose track of days when I've been working night shifts. I'm not expecting this to be great, but we do know Tesla can do very well on earnings if they don't come in as bad as feared. That can create an almost parabolic move for Tesla. So if you're planning on shorting this into a bad earnings, I would maybe not do that, but that's if your personal preference. It could work out for you, could not. Obviously, if these earnings end up being catastrophic, that is great for the shorts, but it's very unpredictable earnings is what I'm trying to say, so just be cautious around that. Herbert Ong, he does some great analysis. Sometimes I'm quite lazy with my research, so just find guys that do a lot of really deep research into a subject. Try and ignore any biases. I know that can be hard sometimes, but also try and find people that are very negative on Tesla and you want to hear both sides of the story. But Tom Lee, love Tom Lee, the Super Bowl, he was right when everyone was wrong, but I don't always agree with him on everything. China, predominantly, not a fan of, but I mean, I concede that they've done quite well so far. So he just put Tesla turns tech into real world products and now sits at the center of everything that matters. cannot really argue with that statement. Autonomy, robotics, energy, especially with the mega packs, maybe not so much the solar. Those are game-changing companies, and I think they're going to do very well. That's my long-term thesis. It's not all about RoboCab like it is with a lot of people's models. I do want to say though, the big beautiful bill, I hate what it's done to solar. That totally sucks. I really wanted to go long into solar kind of next year because the price is so bad down, but we'll have to see over the next few quarters how these changes affect their earnings and such. We did talk on Market Buzz with Nesta about First Solar, so that's what I'm looking into as a potential rotation option. I do still really like Enphase, but the price just keeps going down and down. I'm glad I sold it when I did, so I'll be able to buy that at a very nice discount. But it all depends on if the companies are able to pivot. We need to find a company that is able to come out of this profitably, which could be a challenge. Other than that, though, big beautiful bill, hot topic. Obviously, Elon hates it. I don't necessarily agree with Elon on this. I think the big beautiful bill is a necessary evil right now, even though it guts some things that I think are quite important for the future. America has two options right now. They can go pro growth, really, really stimulate their economy, which is that's pretty much what they're trying to do. They really want to stimulate and outgrow their deficit, or they can have austerity. Austerity now would be super, super painful for the entire planet. America really is the ship that keeps everything afloat, and many, many other countries have really had economic pain right now. If you put America in pain right now, we could have a really bad global economy for quite some time. I think it's the right choice to try and grow out of it. I think the communication around that plan could have been a little bit better, especially with the spat between Elon and Trump. Obviously, they're both agree very differently on this, which brings us to the point about Elon's political situation, the new party that he wants to bring out. I'm not super knowledgeable about the way US politics work because they're very strange to me. It's kind of like watching a soap on TV. But I do think that his plan will be to not have it as a primary contender, but just have enough that either party can't have free reign of things, which is probably not a bad idea. But I hope someone else is in charge of it other than Elon, because I'm like most people out there that are investors in Tesla or any of his companies. I want him to focus on what he's really good at, and that's tech and pushing things out, motivating people, all that good stuff. I think that brings us to the conclusion for today. I don't think there's anything else I wanted to talk about. Have fun. That's us all done and dusted for another Tesla Tuesday wrap up. If you enjoyed this content, give the video a like, share it with your mum, your nan, your dog, your dad, whoever, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you tomorrow.